Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a fun video for you guys today. We're going to be taking a sneak peek, kind of behind the scenes look at my makeup room, my filming area, my setup, my makeup collection. I'm going to give you guys a little tour of my makeup space down here. If you've watched me before, you will have heard this already, but we are planning to finish off this little area of our unfinished basement where I film and build me an actual beauty room. So call this the before. Now, it's not going to be anything fancy. I'm not going to be making like one of those really fancy beauty rooms that you see sometimes on Instagram or on YouTube. But just having walls down here and a desk that doesn't have tinfoil on top, I am very, very excited about. Let that be a hint. I will be showing you guys my tinfoil desk. But I thought it'd be fun to show you guys my little area here and what it takes for me to make these videos for you guys. So I hope you guys are excited about it. I'm excited to show you around despite the fact that things do not look fancy or designer. I know my background is cute. Don't be fooled. But I'm very excited to get into it today. Before we do, I want to welcome any new visitors to my channel. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe before you leave. And with that said, let's transfer over to my vlogging camera and I'll give you guys a look. Alright you guys, so here is my little filming area, my makeup area. You've got to admit, I was right. Things are not as pretty behind the scenes. From my children's desk that my knees don't fit under very well, to my plastic covered insulated walls. There's my little background that you guys see every day, my little fake, what are those trees called? Fig leaf. Fiddle fig, I can't remember. And then my lighting, I have a backlight up there, a backlight behind my chair to light up my background. Then I have this little table drawer unit right here. All right, so let's have a look at why don't we go through my makeup? You guys can kind of see where everything is. So here's my Shop My Stash that I just did. When I do these, I leave them just sitting on top of this little drawer unit right here. On this side, I have just some miscellaneous stuff, my mousse that I use every time I do my hair. This little palette right here, which I don't often talk about, but I use very often. I use this to cover my roots if I'm in need of like touching up my hair and I haven't for a while. If I have some regrowth or gray hair showing, I'll use the browns in here to touch that up. Right here I have all my nail polishes. Most all of these are my favorite nail polishes, i.e. all of my Olive and June polishes, which I am very, very attached to. I've been trying to link all the colors that I wear in my videos recently because I do get asked very often what nail polish I am wearing, and I am a huge fan of their nail polishes. They are amazing. All right, this is my desktop where I keep some of the stuff that I'm currently wearing or using. These are all my brushes right here. These are actually like the eye brushes over here. I don't actually use super often. I use these brushes way more, and these often will sit up here while I'm filming. These are my Refer brushes. I love them. I talk often about them. I also have these right here. These are the Alter Ego, the newer set that they sent me, and I use these quite a bit as well. I do use the face brushes in here a lot. Here are my two favorite highlighting brushes. I have some essentials in here like my eyelash curler or curlers, my eyeliners. Honestly, probably half of these are the Wet n Wild brown eyeliners. I have some Q-tips in here, some, what are these called? Swispers, like cotton pads. I keep little things like clips here that I use to pull my hair back while I'm filming. This area over here, let's just move over here really quickly. I have a bunch of jewelry. I do have a jewelry unit up in my bedroom, but somehow, and the same thing is true with all of my hair products, they've managed to migrate down here because I often am not sure what jewelry I'll be wearing, and I'll sometimes switch things out if I'm filming more than one video in a day, which isn't super often, but a lot of my jewelry is currently very unorganized, but down here, mostly just earrings, and then I have on this little light stand right here a lot of the necklaces that I wear. And by a lot, I mean like, I have like 7 necklaces that I wear. Okay, I just have a couple other things on here that I've been trying out currently. It's the Nabla palette, this MAC highlighter I've been using a lot recently, my Beauty Blender foundation. I have been loving this. I'm really surprised at how much I like this foundation. I kind of was expecting that I wouldn't like it for some reason, which why would you buy something you were expecting not to like? Because it was on sale. If you didn't see my trying new makeup from Marshall's video, that was recently, so go take a look at that one if you want to see me test that one out. I've been using these Wet n Wild palettes a ton and really loving them. This is the latest Olive and June nail collection. I love this. I'm actually wearing these on my nails today. I have this color on my nails today. Why does the focus on here not work? This is the one I'm wearing on my nails today. It's their rainy day collection. This one's called 100% Chance. Isn't that the cutest name? I love it. It's like a steely, deep blue gray. So pretty. Then over here I have some other things that I use regularly. My Juicy Pink blushes always sit out here. I have like a moisturizer here, my clear top coat that I use when I paint my nails. I've got some of my most used lip glosses in here. I have my gel eyeliner brushes in here. Some of my most used brow pencils over here. Just kind of a random mix of things. As I mentioned before, I've got my Shop My Stash bin right here. If you didn't see that video, I think it's just a couple videos back. I'll try and link it here for you guys. Right here I have a drawer unit that I actually don't use very often. I bought this drawer unit along with all of my furniture, including my desk and my chair, at a thrift market. They were super cheap. I think this thing was $5. This was maybe 20, and then my chair was like 10 or something. But this drawer unit mostly just houses like extra things, and part of the reason for that is that my little monitor that I use, this is the monitor that I use while I'm filming. I have to use this to make sure that I stay in focus because my camera, I can't use the autofocus on my camera, so I have to make sure if I lean too forward too much or if I slowly start to scoot back too much, I'll knock myself out of focus. So I use this monitor to make sure that I stay in focus. That's one of the reasons I constantly feel like I have to explain why I'm always seemingly staring at myself while I film. It's a habit that I've been trying to break, but it drives me absolutely bananas if I'm editing a video and the focus is off. It makes me kind of crazy. But it's something that I know bugs some of you, and I'm continually trying to work on that. So let me just show you kind of what's in here. This broke, so I have to kind of lean it right here. It used to sit back kind of in that little nook back here, but now I have to kind of lean it in front of my drawers, which is why nothing important is in these drawers anymore. Basically, I just have some like, kind of what seems like garbage in here. There's like makeup remover. I have a bunch of these Olive and June lid topper things. I've got a lot of samples in here, cards, my extra beauty blender from Folklore that I really love. Some lashes in there, which you guys probably know don't get a lot of use. And then down here I have, oh, some surprises. I forgot I had some powders down here. What do you know? I have some powders I completely forgot about. Forgot about my Healthy Skin Foundation that's probably now expired. And then I have some other nail polishes. I just don't use these very much anymore now that I have all of my Olive and June nail polishes because I like the colors and the wear so much better on the Olive and June ones. But just some miscellaneous stuff in there, nothing very exciting or fun. So let's get into the stuff that I do actually use. This is my desk. It is hideous, yes. It is also a children's desk, so as you can see, my knees don't fit underneath it. So kind of challenging to film with this thing. That's one of the things I'm very excited to replace is this desk. I did, as I mentioned, buy it for like $10 or $15 at a thrift market, and it does have some drawers in it, which are very helpful, but it is ghastly ugly, and yes, it is covered with tin foil. This is to reflect light back onto my face because filming down here in the basement really is like filming in a black hole. All of this space just sucks up light, so I need as many surfaces to reflect light as possible. That's another reason that I have right here a shower curtain hung up. I know, this is just getting better and better, isn't it? Which I bounce this little light off because otherwise my background is just too dark. So I desperately try to squeak light out of this tiny little room, if you want to call it that, but it works fine. And it's proof if I can film down in this very non-functional, seemingly non-functional space and make it functional, you can figure out a way to film just about anywhere. All right, so here's my top drawer, which holds all of my concealers right here. Over here I have all of my eyeshadow primers and brow products. That's pretty much all that I have in here. I have a couple of these single shadows from Wet n Wild that I love, although I don't use them as much as I used to. I have my sponges in here. A couple of them need to be washed. I did wash most of these recently. Why am I explaining that to you? And then some powders over here. I keep my Rimmel Stay Matte powder here in my top drawer, and I use that almost every single day. Over here I have my drawer of bronzers. All of my bronzers are housed in this little old baby shoebox right here. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Curious George taught me that. Also, all of my foundations and BB creams are over here. And then right in this little corner right here, I have all of my primers that I really like. That's in the wrong place. Except, of course, the ones that are over in my Shop My Stash. Next drawer down, I have my blushes. It is already overfilled. I just decluttered my blushes. I really just need a bigger space for my blushes. There's really not much in here that I want to get rid of. I love blush. It's one of my very favorite things to try out and collect. But as you can see, things are a little bit disorganized. I can't quite fit everything inside here. Down here, I have all my lip products and my setting sprays. Back here, so on this side I have lip glosses and my lip liners in this little thing right here, and then over here I have all of my lipsticks, bullet form and liquid lipsticks. But honestly, you guys, lipstick is one of those things that I I have a handful of things that I throw in my purse regularly, and I don't branch out a whole lot. And that's especially true since the quarantine, just because, I don't know, I don't go out a lot. When I do go, I mean, you probably can all relate to this. I don't go out as much as I used to, and when I do, I often have a mask on, so I don't really care what's on my lips as much. I'm hoping that's gonna change this summer, and maybe I'll get some better use out of switching things up a little bit more with my lips, but for right now, honestly, I don't dig into this drawer for the lipsticks very much anymore, and I do think I use my glosses a lot more than I use my lipsticks. Oh, and right here I have like a spray, sunscreen, that I will put on my face before I do my makeup. Oh, that reminds me, I do have in here, I always apply, I don't know if I often say this, but before I apply my foundation, I try to put a thick layer of sunscreen on my face every single day. I do like the copper tone sunscreen because it does have zinc oxide in it. It does leave a white cast, but once it sits there for a second, it really melts into your skin. I just like the way the copper tones soak into my skin, but then don't leave my skin feeling greasy once they soak in, but they work really well. All right, let's move over here. This little area right here is my eyeshadows. I was gonna organize this before I filmed this video, and I kind of just thought, you know, what's the point? Down here below, I have all of my eyeshadow palettes. I know it's really dark down here, so hold on. These are all my ABH palettes right here, my Persona palettes, all my ColourPop right here. I have these newer ones from BH Cosmetics that I've kind of kept here at the front. I've got my Juvia's Place palettes right here, and then just kind of all of my other ones back there. I've got all the rest of my Juvia's Place, my Alter Ego palettes, some Urban Decay, some e.l.f. ones, all my Natasha Denonas are back there. Then over here I have my bin of spring palettes. If you missed that video, that's another video that I filmed recently, my top palettes for spring. So these are all the palettes that I picked for my spring palette, sort of shop my stash that I've been trying to use regularly. I think I've used almost all of them. Still haven't used my Mandalorian palette yet this spring, but I'm excited to use that one. It is one of my favorites. I'm still working on getting to know my new Nabla palette that's not new to the market, but is new to me. And as I mentioned, I'm still kind of getting to know this Luster palette. Really enjoying this palette a lot. If you didn't see my video on the Alter Ego Luster palette, I will link it for you guys right here. This is gonna be a lot of videos to link. I'll try and link it down below. And then back behind here, I've got all of my Sydney Grace singles. These are just all my beloved Sydney Grace single eyeshadows. These are actually supposed to go back into a palette. I had a friend that borrowed a couple eyeshadows from me, so they're gonna go back into the palette that she's currently borrowing, but I love them. I love Sydney Grace so much. I know I've made this joke that's not really a joke before, but truly, if there was like a fire and I could only grab like one quick thing from my makeup collection, I think I would grab all of my Sydney Grace singles. And then During Love palette. And maybe while I'm at it, just this whole bin. And maybe my Natasha Denona and Juvia's Place palettes. And a few ColourPop. Now those can be replaced, they're not very expensive. So that's pretty much it for my eyeshadow palettes for right now. Let's move up here. So I have over here, these are all face palettes or highlighting palettes right here. Right here I have some single shadows that I honestly don't use these super often. There are a few of my singles that I use regularly, mostly the ColourPop Super Shocks. I really do love those and use those quite often. And then right here I have just a smaller bin for most of my smaller palettes. So I've got like my Flower Beauty palettes here. I've got some of the Huda Beauty palettes here. This Kiko palette that I just got done trying out. It's okay, honestly. I liked the look that I came up with in that video, but I've tried that one more time, and I don't know that, like, I definitely wouldn't buy that for $17, which was the retail price. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, there's my Gryffindor palette. Got my old Urban Decay palette and my chocolate bar palette. I don't use those ones very often, but I have them. I still keep them kind of for sentimental value. I do love this Jungle Lights palette from Flower Beauty. Got a couple of the Milani palettes. I've got a couple here from Wet n Wild. I've got this Lawless palette. Got my Huda Beauty palettes in here, my mini Natasha Denona palettes that I love, and also the e.l.f. Bite Size palettes, along with these smaller Wet n Wild palettes that I'm a huge fan of these. I really am loving these palettes. I think if I had to pick between the Wet n Wild and the e.l.f., I would go with the Wet n Wild. I think they're better quality, more curated palettes. You can actually get a complete look out of these palettes, whereas I don't feel that way with most of the e.l.f. quads. Perhaps that's just because they give you one more shade, but I really have been impressed with those. Okay, so one more thing I haven't yet showed you guys. So this little drawer unit back here, I got this at a TJ Maxx, Marshall's, Home Goods, I think a Home Goods. I love this little unit. I think it's super cute. I have to put it on stilts so that it shows up in my videos because it's a couple of inches too short for my camera. It's kind of funny. Here is my drawer of highlighters right here. So I keep all of my highlighters in here. It's a little disorganized. It's probably due for a declutter. I can definitely see a handful of highlighters in here I could probably get rid of. But I have a hard time getting rid of highlighters because I love highlighter so much. Then down here I have my drawer of mascaras. I did go through these and declutter recently, so these are all mascaras that I'm still working through and using. There's a couple that I'm getting close to finishing up. My Perversion mascara. I won't buy this again. I don't love it. It doesn't do amazing things for my lashes. I mean, it's okay. I just don't think it's like amazing. It's not water resistant at all, so if my eyes water at all, this one does run a little bit on me. It does have a really soft brush if you are very sensitive to brushes that aren't very soft. Probably the ones in here that I love the most that I would repurchase. You guys know I love my Tony Moly mascara. I do have a backup right here. These two right here I got in a BoxyCharm like a year ago and I never opened them. They might be bad. I need to open them up and see if they're dried out, even though I never opened them. Love my Cosmetics Superhero. Probably my very favorite high-end mascara, other than my Thrive Cosmetics, which I also love, but for different reasons. I do really like the NARS Climax mascara. I've been really impressed with this one. I would consider purchasing this one. It is pretty pricey though. I do like the Lashtopia mascara from Bare Minerals. That's a good one. I do have a couple mini mascaras that I haven't yet tried. I have the YSL Faux Cils mascara. I've got this one right here from Marc Jacobs. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Fetishize or something. No, not even close. Velvet Noir. I think this is the Fetishize. This is the Pat McGrath Fetishize mascara. Let me know which of those you guys would like to see me open up next. Maybe I will pull one into a video coming up. But that's it for my mascara drawer. I have this box of eyeliners from Folklore Cosmetics. I've talked about these before. They're not very good. They do transfer quite a bit onto my brow bone, the liners, but the brushes that come in this little liner set are fantastic. So I'm going to keep the box just for the brushes inside. That is pretty much it for that. Okay, so I do want to show you guys just a couple of technical details. As I mentioned, I have a window that is in front of me. I'll show you guys the window in just a sec, but it doesn't let a whole lot of light in here, and mainly the reason for that is because this room is not finished off. None of the light bounces very well, and when you have a room that has walls, especially if your walls are light colored, it will bounce light all over the room. Down here behind me, as you can see along the edges of my backdrop, it's basically like a vacuum that sucks light out of the area in front of me, so I have to use a lot of artificial lighting. I'm hoping that once we finish off the room that I'll be able to rely a little bit more on natural light. I'm assuming I'll still need my ring light on that's going to be hopefully at a lower power setting and use a little bit more natural light. Hopefully my lighting will be a little bit better because I'll have the walls around me reflecting light and bouncing light off. We'll see how well that works. I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, it's going to be a little bit better, but I do have to use artificial lights every time I film. So as I mentioned, the lights behind me, I have a, I don't know, is that called a rim light? I'm not sure what it's called. Basically, I have this light up here that sits on a little boom. The main purpose of that is just to throw light onto my backdrop behind me. The same with that light right there. These lights don't necessarily give me like a halo look. They're really just meant to light up my background. So here's a look at my lighting setup in front of me. So I have a ring light in the center. My mic sits on a boom just kind of right here above my camera. My camera's right here in the center. I do have a little mirror right here that I use. It does have a light on it. Sometimes I turn it on. Sometimes I don't. It doesn't really provide a whole lot of light actually. Then I have my window that's right there. In the morning, if I'm filming before noon in the morning, especially in the summertime, I actually get quite a bit of light through this window. So I don't know if you can tell, but I actually have some paper taped up there to diffuse some of the direct sunlight. It's always good to diffuse any direct sunlight. It's very difficult to work with direct sunlight. If you film videos, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I've got these little, they're not actually soft boxes, they're like umbrellas that you can bounce light off of. So I have bulbs inside here. They're daylight bulbs, and that's a really important thing. If you do film videos and you use artificial or a mix of artificial and natural light, you want to make sure that the bulbs inside any lights that you use, whether you're using LEDs, which I think these are all LED lights, make sure they're all the same color temperature. So I use daylight bulbs in everything that I use down here in this setup. So if I'm combining with natural light, they all have kind of the same color temperature, because that's really a big deal. It's a huge deal. If you've ever used an incandescent bulb or even turn on like your phone camera in your incandescent lighting, it's very, very yellow. It's very, very different. So I have these two right here. They do have diffusers that I've sort of jury-rigged. I don't know if that's the term I'm looking for, but I basically just taped up a little diffuser on this side because I do need the light not to be diffused on the outside because it has a little bit more power to reach my background, but on the inside it's a little bit too bright for for my face. So I diffuse just the inner parts of the lights. Very clever of me. But that is pretty much everything. As you can see, a lot of makeshift stuff, from the tinfoil on the top of the desk to the little tissue paper on my lights, which don't try that at home. I realize that's probably a fire hazard. I'm not responsible for fires in your own beauty rooms, but I'm very careful. I have a power switch that I turn off before I leave this room. But that's pretty much everything. Hope that you guys enjoyed this little tour. Alright guys, that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this little sneak peek behind the scenes of my filming area. Let me know if you guys would like to see updates on how things are going. As we get into finishing off this room, maybe if I buy a little bit of furniture, I do plan on buying a chair and a desk, and maybe a set of drawers. But let me know if you guys would like to see some of those updates. Of course, I will come back and do a reveal of the finished room, but it is going to be a while. We are doing this ourselves, so this is probably going to be like next fall that we'll be finishing things off. Hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you guys for your support on my channel, for watching my videos. It really does mean the world to me. I love filming these videos for you guys and being a part of this beauty community here on YouTube, so thank you guys so much for your support. But that is it for today. Thank you guys again. I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!